Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's travel talk on Antarctica, the Final Frontier. I'm Diane Cook, the founder and principal travel designer of Seven Seas to Sea Travel, and today my guest is Antarctica 21. So I am going to welcome Steph, who will take it over and take it away. Thank you.
Amazing. My name is Stephanie and I work with Antarctica21. We are the leading pioneers of flying to Antarctica and avoiding the sailing across the Drake Passage. And I really wanted to feature some of our, expert and beautiful boutique trips today. And we actually are a small ship expedition company. So I'm going to show a little bit of slides on our material and our product line, and really just feature some of our most popular trips today. And I hope to bring, whether it's a group with Seven Seas to Seas with Diane, or whether it's you're going on your own, we can sell it and we can fill you into the best trip for you. So we're customizable and we really listen to the client focus of majority of our trips. So A21. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of background on can you see the screen okay, right, Diane? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Antarctica 21. So we are the pioneers in flying across the Drake Passage. So probably many of you, this is the first interest to get to Antarctica. It's probably your first trip to Antarctica. So I'm going to just give you an explanation of, their sailing trips that you leave from Ushuaia, and Antarctica 21 as a company pioneered in Chile. We're based in Punta Arenas down in the Patagonia in Chile. We're founders and board of directors started in 2003. So we're 22 years in providing this service to a very niche clientele, of course, because we specialize in Antarctica and the sub-Antarctic, which means South Georgia, Falkland Islands, and the Patagonia. So we are exclusive in a small ship fly cruise experience to Antarctica. And we also do some sailings to South Georgia and Falkland Islands. So I'm going to break that down a little bit for you. And I was going to open up questions, but maybe today we'll just do the information and then we can always do a second one with questions if anyone has it. So a quick webinar kind of summary today. I was going to talk a little bit about who we are, who's Antarctica 21. The journey and the experience really is what I wanted to provide for you guys today. And then of course the guest support and how we do everything from start to finish. And we'll help Diane tailor your trip to be, the once in a lifetime trip to Antarctica that I know is a lot of research, a lot of time and energy in deciding, and it's a big cost. So I want to make sure that you have all the details. So Antarctica 21, we actually are over 20 years now of like passion and innovation of this specific destination. Our expert team and expedition guides and operations team. And we have a sales and marketing team that sits in Santiago in Chile. And we have our operations team that sits in Punta Arenas. We are very local and local knowledge that we are experts in Antarctica because that's the only destination that we go. We're not spread all around the world. We want to put all our energy and resources in Antarctica, and it's really a very special product. So we want to be we say we're the best of the best in what we do, and we can stand behind that. Another key feature of kind of our pillars here are obviously being experts in our knowledge, but in the time that actually you save. So keep in mind, sailing across the Drake Passage is actually 2 days. It can take up to 2.5 days, where you board a vessel in Ushuaia in Argentina, you sail across the Drake Passage. It could potentially take 2 days and then 2 days back. So that's 4 days of your trip that are potentially being seasick. You're maybe in your cabin. You're not experiencing any wildlife. You're not doing any landings. You're just sailing across in very, very strong seas. So it's probably it is the roughest sea probably in the world, they say. And it's called the Drake Passage. So A21 pioneered a trip. Our owners and operators believe that there was a better way to get to Antarctica, and surely there is. And I've actually sailed and flown, and I really truly believe we have a special product for the people that want something very boutique and intimate, and getting more time on the land. So our size pillar here is based on our ships. We're very small ship focused. Our capacity is only 76 people on board. So this is really interesting because most every other company is over 100, actually over 140 passengers. So it's not as intimate, it's not as boutique. You are more of a number on the ship, where we really try to have exclusivity to our intimate setting, smaller grouping, smaller number of passengers on a Zodiac that you're boarding, and just all the things that you would get with a small ship expedition. And I know Diane is an expert in some small expedition ships as well. So I'm glad we found each other because we really have a unique product, and I hope to get all of you to see us in person. So just focus on these kind of knowledge, time, and size, because these are really pillars that stand out with A21 that no other company really can offer. We also have very local team. So, we're not making decisions from all around the world. We are local in our operations team. We're local in our hospitality team and everyone that is hired and trained under A21. So we're not, making decisions from Australia or New Zealand or Canada or wherever the case may be where they might have an office. Our home base is in Antarctica, where we fly. So we also are part owners of the aircraft or the airline that we fly with. And I'll get into more details as we come in the next couple of slides. But that really makes us special and it makes us stand out. And we have that priority flight times and priority opportunity that no other company has. So if you're going to fly, it's best to go with us, is what I say. Our expedition team we have the best guide to guest ratio that I like to include in some of these consumer presentations, because I think it's really important on the flexibility. So maybe you have somebody that needs a little bit more help or mobility on land, or maybe they have walking sticks and there's an expert guide that's maybe needs to stay with that group or something like that. So we have more opportunity for flexibility around our 1-to-6 ratio. So there's one guide to 6 guests is on all of our departures, and it's the best in the business. There's no one that can compete with this because nobody has ships that are under 140, and we're at 76. Our hospitality team also is local. We have a brand new Explorer's House, which is a home base for when you get to Punta Arenas in Patagonia. Our team picks you up from the airport there and brings you to our beautiful, beautiful Explorer's House. So I'm going to get to more detail there, but it's a very, very local experience, and I'll let you know in a couple slides to come, but we give back a lot to the land. Sustainability is one of our pillars. We're the only company that has actually reached net zero greenhouse gas emissions. Our new ship to come is going to be a hybrid ship. So I think it's important in the North American market. People always ask about it, and sustainability and preserving the land and giving back to the land is very important to us. I did feature, and I just mentioned that we have a flight priority. This is key when talking about Antarctica. And if you're interested to fly, there's no other company that can compete with this. So as you can see on the slide, we work with the DAP airline. This is the aircraft that you would be on to fly 2 hours to Antarctica, landing right here in King George Island. So you land right in Antarctica. It's a typical commercial aircraft that fits 76 people. We charter it through our partners, the DAP airline, DAP. And as you can see, they're tailored to Antarctica. They don't fly anywhere else. They're mostly marked with penguins and icebergs, I would say, on the side. They have a shortened wingspan that makes it easy to land in Antarctica on a very short runway. So this is really key. We have our team waiting on the ground here, and all these 76 people are going onto our little shuttles that we have branded with A21, that we bring you to the beach where the vessel is waiting. So I know many of you are probably new at looking into Antarctica and getting excited about Antarctica. There's no hotels in Antarctica. There's no dock station where the vessel can, be close to land. You have to board Zodiacs from the beach and get to the vessel. So we're experts, and our team are experts on this expedition team, where they're experts at driving Zodiacs. They're experts. They might be scientists on board. There's glacier experts or historians. There is polar guide experts that we hire through A21 that are operating our experience. So once you board kind of our A21 shuttle, you get taken to the beach where you board the Zodiacs, and that's kind of the start of your sailing once you board the vessels. And I'll get into some of our our images of the vessels as well. But this flight priority really sets us apart because weather dictates all. So keep that in mind, that we can't control the weather. We can do everything in our power to logistically add all the operation steps. But if weather changes and we need to adjust our flight, we're given that first fly time. So if you choose to go, with another provider that flies, maybe, Silver Seas, for example, is another provider that flies, they would use our same DAP airline and same aircraft, that we have the first choice of the time sequence. We're also recognized across the board with the IATO board, the governing body in Antarctica, which I think is important for guests to know. We meet twice a year. We sit on the board. We listen to all the rules and regulations. We've been featured as the best company in Chile for, I think, up to 12, or I think it's even over 12 years now since they've operated this standard. We're the only company that has hit net zero greenhouse gases. So we're actually certified carbon neutral, which is really important, I think, to guests when they travel nowadays. And we are committed to kind of the sustainability, and our full foundation, 21 foundation, actually is centered around science experiments and giving back to the land. So it's really, really interesting that when you're looking for a provider, we definitely have kind of that standout commitment to the place that you want to go. Some features of the expedition ships and center. So this actually was an old 100-year building in Punta Arenas in the Patagonia. Probably not many people have been to even the Patagonia. So this is on the Chilean side. Punta Arenas is our home base. We took over a 100-year-old wool factory, actually, and they've completely renovated it to be our welcome center. So this is called the Explorer's House. They've kept a lot of the integrity of the building and the history of the building and just modernized it to be very close to our brand. It's a full operation of a dining, welcome center, briefing area. You can leave luggage, your A21 packs are here that were given, your boots are given here, everything from a welcome center briefing in our theater that you can see here in the slide. It can hold up to 100 people, but this is where our expert team does a deep dive into questions that you might have. And of course, you've done a lot of research, but it's exciting once you get there. So you land on day one, our team picks you up from the airport, brings you to this beautiful center for your welcome dinner, your briefing, all your gear. There's a gear shop, there's a library. It's really a one kind of interactive site that we have on hand that no other competitor going to Antarctica has. Mm-hmm. Here's a picture of the food. And it's like, yeah, more than 5-star dining, honestly. They're working on getting a Michelin star, actually, which is very exciting. Some of the ships here. So I'll feature today, because we're looking into the future, I am going to feature the 2 ships that are in the 26-27 season. We, of course, sell in our winter season, in the Canadian winter, which is actually the Antarctic summer. So the best time to go is kind of, December to February are the highlights. We operate trips kind of end of November all the way into early March. So really there's not a bad time to go. And I'll speak to a little bit about the dates. I know we were trying to kind of pick a date, but there's flexibility there on a group or individual bookings as well. So this is a picture here of our Magellan Explorer. This was built and crafted by A21 in 2019. Oops, sorry, I missed that. And I'll get into some of the details in the next slide. So this is a vision of our ship currently that we're selling. It's a 76 max capacity small expedition ship. Absolutely stunning. The interior designer was used by the Singular Patagonia designer, which is a high-end hotel in the Patagonia. And it really encompasses kind of the landscape inside and outside. So it's one of those ships that are jaw-dropping to see, I believe, even if you have seen some of the other ships. We really kind of stand out in the Antarctic small ship market. Brand new ship to come, which I wanted to feature today because there is options to pick either the Explorer or our brand new sister ship to come. And I'll get into the differences that might be an objective for this Canadian group potentially. This joins our fleet in December 2026. So kind of at the start of the season that we're maybe going to look into. And that's where I've really highlighted it today on the 26-27 season, meaning kind of December 26 into February 2027. So some time to plan for sure. So some features of the Discover, that is the brand new ship to come. We've really included some key features of, listen to different, guests that come back. We get reviews from all passengers that travel. And of course, we listen to the industry down in Antarctica. So we featured some new observation lounge and bar dining area. Will be a library, a meeting room. There's a gym and sauna on deck. So really all the bells and whistles of a high-end hotel, honestly, on board. But of course, we've included a walk around deck, a 360 walk around deck, and as well, a bigger science lab. So this is exciting because, guests that want to look into Antarctica and learn and get to Antarctica are usually people that want to have excitement, adventure, and education component that ties into Antarctica. There's so much to learn, so much about the glacier, so much about the history, so much about the wildlife that we really incorporate our trips into having marine biologists on staff on board doing lectures. They can take guests out in zodiacs to test water, to do any type of science experiment, and then come back to the ship. So both ships have this opportunity. It just is so popular that we actually built a bigger wet lab for science on this ship, because every client, every guest wants to be able to experience this. And of course, we do really fun activities, whether it's during Christmas time or New Year's time or barbecues. We really try to get out on the deck and experience the weather, climate, and everything. And it's such a cool experience. So we try to kind of really bring everybody, so really intimate experience that everybody's friends after these types of departures. Here's some artist renderings because it's not quite built, but this is an opportunity for you guys to select either the Explorer or the Discoverer for that 26-27 season. And the rooms are absolutely beautiful, very modern, heated floors, like all the best of the best kind of us, it has huge balconies, as well as only fitting 76 passengers. So I think it's very special when you're looking in the Antarctic industry. There's no other company, no other ship that actually is at all under 100 passengers. So let me just double check. Yeah, I'm going to mention it now, actually. So 100 passengers is the guideline in the treaty and in the Antarctic Treaty. It's the IATO board that governs Antarctica. So that's a special feature. And just for you all to know, because I know you don't probably look up Antarctica information all the time, and this is probably a new thing for you, but I want to make sure that you know that only 100 people are on land at a time. So that's why we really factored our trips around that 76 model, because of the flight, but also because of our experience we want guests to have. We don't want people waiting in lines to get out on the land. We want to have the opportunity that's flexible, customizable, and everybody has ample opportunity to do any of the activities. So that's really important to us. And I have a couple of slides to share in a day in the life of coming up. This is a viewpoint of our Magellan Explorer, created and engineered and released in 2019. So still a new ship. Price point on this ship will be a little bit lower, of course, than on the Discoverer being brand new. So that might factor into some of your decisions, and I'll make sure Diane has all the pricing as well. The Magellan Explorer is also, tailored around small ship expedition. It is a sister ship that we want under our fleet. Very sustainable model. The Discoverer is the first hybrid ship to be in the industry, but we're also making changes and upgrades in the Explorer as well, with Zodiac, better renewable energy for a lot of our functionality. So that is important across the board, and something that they are putting a lot of energy and resources into. And again, the Magellan Explorer just has a little very similar of the dining room where everybody experiences the, eating together, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's one beautiful dining area. There's one beautiful lounge area, bar area. It's not a ship that you're going to have. It's not an experience that you're going to have multiple dining options or multiple activities and dance rooms, So we're when we say cruise, we're not really factored into like that cruising industry. Small ship expedition is really a different class of its own. It's experiencing the land and the education around the place, learning from our experts on board, listening to lectures, and having that kind of hands-on experience while you're there. It's not something where we have nightclubs, and it's not a cruise atmosphere where there's hundreds of people. It's not something that we do. So sometimes I like to even say fly and sail, because we don't often use the word cruise. Another really important feature of the Magellan Explorer, and I'll get to it in the next slide, but the cabins and the decor and everything, we work with expert interior designers where they try to bring in the interior and the exterior kind of in, and the landscapes in. So it's very kind of color scheme and the experience on board. You don't feel like you're on an expedition ship. It's a really stunning experience, where the balconies, there's large windows, and I'm going to show you this next slide to kind of compare. But the Explorer actually has more cabin categories. So this is something that is different pricing, and I'll make sure that Diane has all the pricing, but this gives capabilities to really have a lower price point and a high price point. So if you are, you want to be on a small ship and you are passionate of coming on a trip with Antarctica21, but maybe your budget is a certain price, there's definitely a capability where we can kind of offer the lowest room of a porthole would be drastically lower than, say, a penthouse or a deluxe suite. So it gives everybody an opportunity to have something that fits their means and fits your expectations, and different cabin sizes, of course. If we have single travelers, we have single veranda cabins, and of course we have shared opportunities as well. Some people want to keep the cost down a little bit, so you have an opportunity to share. Maybe there's someone local that is a single and is okay to share with the same gender, right? So we have different opportunities in that way, and you still have a beautiful experience on a very small ship expedition. The Discover, being the brand new ship, is geared a lot to groups as well as family travel, because we are seeing extended trend kind of in multi-generational travel. So this is something where we can adjoin rooms. There's family veranda suites that can open up where maybe there's children and parents, and they want to be kind of adjoining cabins. So I'll make sure that Diane has all the specifics of the deck plan and the cabin pricing. I don't want to get into all those details today because we're kind of limited on time, but I wanted to kind of feature more of the pictures of the ship and the different opportunities that we have, and then focus on the itinerary that I think is the best one for this group. I'll also send back some sustainable features that are really important to people. So I'll definitely send back kind of what we're doing for years to come, and what, everything from stabilizers of the ship. If anyone has questions on our, polar ice class, rating, there's all these details. And I know as an person in the industry, Diane, you probably get 1,000,001 questions. So I'll try to tailor this back as much as possible on all of our small features that make us special. And another key factor, both ships, and I just wanted to reiterate this, both ships have 76 capacity because of the aircraft that we fly, and both have a guest to guide ratio of the 1 guide to 6 guests. So that's, such a cool opportunity. There's a lot of hands-on, if anyone has extra questions, you can have team members out on the land with you. It really makes it special and customizable for you and your needs. That is very important. You're not just a number on a bigger ship. The itinerary that I want to focus on today, that I spoke to Diane quite a bit about, is our most popular across the board for North America, because it gives enough time in Antarctica and you're flying both ways. So the classic air cruise is the 8 days, 7 nights. You start in Punta Arenas here in the Patagonia, where our headquarters is. Our explorer's house is here. Our team picks you up from the Punta Arenas airport in the Patagonia in Chile. You have your day 1 of this itinerary is actually having dinner, the briefing, you get your boots, you can ask your more questions, there's a library at the Explorer's House. You can meet everybody of the 76 people on your departure in this welcome center and at the welcome dinner. So on day one of your trip, you arrive by 2 p.m. And this is an important feature as well. And I'll highlight, because we're the only company given the flight priority, we have the flexibility to fly on day one or day two. So we actually open that up to have all guests arriving by 2 p.m. And usually, people coming from Canada, there's no problem. I always recommend even a pre-night ahead of time. It gives you time to settle in, and we can always book that in for you to come the day before day one, which I recommend. And then you can explore Punta Arenas. We have some activities that you can always join. And again, our dinner starts in the afternoon. So you usually arrive by 2 p.m. You do a check-in, and then we have our briefing and dinner. So usually about around 5 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock would be the dinner time. But very organized, very, experts at this experience and operation around it. And then the typical time to fly is day 2 after breakfast. So all of our itineraries on this classic Antarctica, you would have the dinner, have a fun night with everybody that's going on your departure, and then wake up the next day, have breakfast that's included, fly to Antarctica in that 2-hour flight. Sometimes the trips are at 8 or 9 a.m. Sometimes it's at 10 a.m. They try to just pick the best window. And ideally, 93% of the time, which I can send you some stats, Diane, it always operates on day 2. Sometimes we've seen maybe 2 departures out of 40 last year flew on day 1, but it's very rare. But we leave it open that we have limited cancellations, limited delays, limited in all ways, because we have the flexibility, because we're part owners of the DAP airline. So that gives us an edge to any of our trips. Mm-hmm. So once you fly the 2-hour flight, you land at Frey Station on King George Island. And that's where our team is waiting, where you saw the picture where you, walk off the aircraft. You make sure that you're in all of your gear. We give you the boots on day 1, so you're ready. You walk out into the elements, and you have your parka and all the things that you will need to be in the Antarctic weather. And then you board the vessel and you set sail. So this itinerary is 5.5 days, 5 nights on board, either the Magellan Explorer or the Magellan Discoverer, whichever one you pick. And you are sailing in Antarctica with, ample amount of time on land, 2 or 3 landings a day, depending on the weather that day. There's a lot of activities, and I'll get into the details of the day in the life of, and activities to come in the next couple of slides. But keep in mind, this is all experiencing the land here for the 5.5 days. And then you come back to Frey Station to fly back to Punta Arenas on day 7. A night is included. And the hotel that we partner with is called Cobblestone Hornets. So that is the hotel in Punta Arenas. I'll make sure, Diane, that you have the links to that so you can take a look. In future years, we're hoping to have our own A21 boutique hotel attached to the Explorer's House. But right now, we currently are using partners for the hotel. And you have, again, on day 7, the night in the hotel, and breakfast included on day 8. And kind of the end of your trip of the Classic is kind of check out by noon. And that kind of concludes your Antarctic trip. And all the inclusions kind of from day 1 to day 8 are included. So it's part of the package. So I'll make sure that Diane, when she sends it out, you have all the inclusions of the dinner, meals and drinks, Wi-Fi is included. So all of these things that people might request or ask about. Really, the international flight is an exclusion, I should say. Exclusion, as well as gratuities. We, obviously we work globally, so it's not customary all around the world. So it's kind of that standard of course, add a gratuity if you wish. It's not a mandatory thing. And this is the itinerary that I'm going to focus on and send more details to. And of course, we have others, for example, of the Polar Circle that reaches further in Antarctica, if that's something that you want to do. I didn't include a slide of it, but it's a mirror of this itinerary, just a little longer. I did include this kind of exciting one to South Georgia, because there might be people on here that might have like a excitement or urge to get to Antarctica and South Georgia. And this is also something that Diane can work with us and sell. It's a highlight for North Americans, I feel, because the trip is a little less days because most companies sail exclusively and don't have that flight component. So you're saving some time, 2 or 3 days, to kind of fly to Antarctica, sail here first, and then you sail to South Georgia. There's no opportunity that you can fly to South Georgia. There's no airport. Everybody has to sail. So that's a longer trip. So if anybody has the time and has always wanted to get to both destinations, I know I've never been to South Georgia, and I would love to get there at one point in my life. But this is an opportunity that we are currently selling in the 26-27 and 27-28 as well season. Another one is the Patagonian Chilean fjord. So there's, just to give you some background, our company kind of features all around South America is where we're based, but we're looking at Antarctica, subantarctica, and of course we are positioned in Patagonia. So we have one trip that sails up the Patagonian coast, which is beautiful as well. So this is something that I wanted to just include today because I think it's a lot of Canadians and kind of Americans are interested in also doing Patagonia when they go down to Antarctica. Mm-hmm. A key thing of the expedition, we actually have, because we're small ship expedition focused, we get the best of the guides and the crew members, and everybody wants to come back to us year to year. So we keep a lot of staff for years. Like some people have been working with us for 15 years, or, and we're in our 22nd year this year. So the knowledge and the expertise, people that have kind of the polar experience want to be on small ship expeditions. They don't want to be on a carnival cruise in Antarctica. They want to be in where the action is and where the excitement is and the adventure. So I think this is a really key component to the type of expectation set for this. And the experience being that the cost is there. Why not spend it seeing the land and getting out to see, all the wildlife and everything? You're not sitting on board looking at the land from afar. That's not what we do. So our passion, our creativity, and our dedicated work, I think one of the guides was telling me that they have 100 years almost of experience across the board on one departure, because all the guides and all the guides and expedition team and the scientists have almost been so many years to Antarctica that we can almost fill a century, which is kind of fascinating and interesting, and really can't compete with any other company. And you're seeing like a lot of different weather, and it's a logistically hard trip to operate. So we are the experts. We want to share that we're the experts, and we have the best team in the business, and we can express that because we have been doing it a long time, And I think when people research or Google Antarctica, sometimes they see accidents or, people that are getting injured. And a lot of the times it's sailing across the Drake Passage because the waves and the weather can be so rough that injuries can happen, broken arms, broken limbs, and I think at a certain point in your life, you're just like, I want to get there, but I don't want to, be seasick and potentially injured. So I think we just have a little bit of a opportunity and a demand here that we're seeing that there is more people that want to fly. So that's kind of exciting for us. And yeah, I'm excited to share this information with everybody. And here's a slide that was the polar experts are over a century. We really do have the best team and the best polar guides and specialists. And I want to share, there's a slide to come about the activity. So I'll get to that. But our hospitality team as well is hired by A21 that we use year after year. The reviews are out of this world of how people connect with the team on board, the bartenders, to the servers, to everything. It's really so such a stellar experience and so personalized. Like right when you get on board, people are going to remember what drink you like or remember your dietary thing, anything that is special to you. It's really customized in our operations. So a quick day in the life of, and I want to just focus on this puts Antarctica21 as a company. It separates us from so many other providers of Antarctica travel. We really can have that, up to 4-hour landing. So you kind of have a morning where you wake up, there's a breakfast with, one dining area, We have the only kind of the dining services for lunch and dinner, and for breakfast it's more of like a window of time where you can eat at your own convenience, so it's not a set time. And it's more of kind of you serve yourself at that point. And then we have lunch that, you know, after 4 hour landing, or up to 4 hours, you could be out doing sea kayaking, snowshoeing. There's a long list of activities that we can customize based on our size. So different guides can take you out and do different things, which is exciting. And then, you know, obviously you could come back for lunch on board the ship. You would have your, you know, a little bit of rest time, mingling with other guests, and then you'd go out again for a landing. Maybe there's mobility issues, maybe there's something where you're tired. We have Zodiac cruises that you can request as well. So if you maybe don't want to snowshoe or hike or sea kayak, maybe you just want to like go and see seals at the other side of the island. Sorry. I have a little tickle in my throat. Sorry. So keep in mind it's flexible to your experience. Mm-hmm. We also have sea kayaking. Catching my breath here. So we have 20 spaces. Definitely, if interested, book at time of booking, like in advance, because they do go very quickly. Hiking and snowshoeing is another activity. Obviously, we have a range of different scientific stations. We have, you know, there's so many things that you can be doing, and we're a small expedition ship, so we can actually get to parts of the continent that like that big ships just can't get to. Mm-hmm. So we have flexibility. We can change and pivot our scheduling to suit the weather. Big ships just can't move. They pick their site, you know, 3 months earlier, and they have to go to that site. Small ship expeditions have flexibility to move and kind of weather chase, so that we get ample opportunity to do all the activities, which is really exciting. Like I said, also I'll send Diane the contingency plan. We're a company that stands behind our clients and guests, and we never, you know, if for ever reason a trip was canceled out of 2 in our 22-year history, it's very rare, but we have the best contingency plan in the business. So I do like to include this in guest presentations, because, you know, there's the what ifs, and the what ifs always come up. Weather can happen, and our team is experts at planning every logistical, maybe a slight delay in the flight, maybe an hour, to all of the things in between. And like I said, it happens, but it is very rare, but we do have to talk about it. So I know you will get a lot of questions, Diane. So this is something that I can provide for you if you need any explanations further. The expedition portal is something exciting too. Once you guys get in and excited about a certain departure date, and, you know, we book either your family or group or whatever the case may be in, we have a full portal of all of our information, featured videos, everything to get you excited. One kind of a one-stop shop to do all of your planning on this portal. Everything to, like, as packing, there's a packing guide, there's everything on here to really help the team get prepared and ready. And again, I'm local. We can always do a hands-on, you know, chat again once people are excited to book in. As I said, with the gear, we do provide Gore-Tex boots. We have options in gear shops online for any of our parkas and branded A21 gear, from pants to gloves to hats to parkas to shells to anything really. So there's a ton of opportunity to be prepared this far in advance, and we can help you with that, as well as layering and on options of making sure that, you know, obviously Canadians know what a winter is, and oftentimes actually it's probably warmer than our, you know, coldest day here. So so keep that in mind as well. So layers are perfect. Layering is perfect. A couple just travel. I wanted to add this slide in for the travel tips, because, you know, we're looking at this in 26, 27. Some people are going to say, oh, wow, that's so far away. But Antarctica really is a place where you want to have all the information. We can meet another time and go over questions with more people online, as well as potentially in person with some local people here. But you want to book early. Kayaking gets booked up early if that's something that you want to do. And of course, the pre and post. Maybe it's your dream to always do a Patagonia trip ahead of Antarctica. So those types of trips book up early as well. So it's good to keep that in mind. And then, of course, there's travel insurance and medical evacuation insurance that are recommended, not mandatory, but we do recommend them because there's no hospitals in Antarctica, of course. So if anything was to happen, you're covered, and we really make sure about that. Obviously, Canadians do not need visa requirements, so I should have taken that off this slide. But Canadians can get into Chile and Antarctica with no visas at all. There's no COVID vaccinations necessary anymore. There's no things that you have to do other than get ready for your trip, book the international flight, and let us organize the rest. We do have requirements for the luggage that we can have on board the Antarctic flight. So that also is limited to what you see here of close to 50 pounds, say. 55 pounds, I think that it is now. And I always break it down of like you have a hand luggage, personal item, maybe it has your camera and everything in it. And then you have a checked bag that our team takes directly from the aircraft to your cabin. You don't have to touch it again. So it's just you holding your personal items off the flight, and it's 55 pounds there. So keep that in mind of when you're organizing your gear. If there's anything that you need to leave behind, because maybe you came from a different trip or something like that, we can hold it at our Explorers House Center, and we have a full custody area there for that. So that's important to note. And I guess I was going to open it up for questions, but I guess there might not be questions today, but we can always do a question and answer session in the next webinar. So I look forward to seeing everyone join one of our Antarctica21 trips, and I look forward to working with Diane and Seven Seas to Seas in the future, and I can't wait to take you there.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. That was just fantastic. And you did a great job, and really, the thing with expedition cruising in Antarctica, especially, that I love the most is this is the itinerary you purchased, and we'll see what we end up with at the end. And I just love when we go off script. I mean, I know the expedition leaders are working, the captain, it's going to be wonderful, whatever we end up with, and it just gives us more stories to tell. And I just think that's the best way to experience our world off the beaten path, for sure. So thank you so much.
I couldn't agree more. So thank you. I
for
look forward to
sure.
this partnership, and
Yes,
welcome any questions to come. Thanks, everyone.
for sure. And any questions you have, just send them to me, and I will be sure to come back to you with the answers from Stephanie. Thank you. So have a great day, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.